Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to try a new feature this year. I've basically looked around and some of the other YouTubers that I follow, they do a similar thing in that they do a monthly video, basically giving them an update on anything related to their photography journey, as well as any notable images that they've captured that month. So this is going to be my take on that type of video. I'm not expecting them to be overly popular, but I think they'll be useful for me as a hobbyist photographer in trying to give a bit more meaning to my hobby, and also hopefully to make me enjoy it and motivate me to get out and shoot some more photography as well. They'll broadly follow a structure. I won't repeat this in subsequent videos, but basically I will give a bit of a preamble. I'll give you my general thoughts on how I felt that particular month in terms of photography. I will then put up some images and talk around them, like where we went, what cameras I used, what I was feeling, why I took the images, etc. Whether I think they're good enough to be in my portfolio, if I had a portfolio, and whether I printed any images that month, because that's something that I haven't done much of before because I haven't got a printer, but it's something that I'm looking to add, not like a big printer, just like one of those small Canon selfie printers where you can print 6x4 prints, and then I was going to put them up on my door here behind me so that they'll be visible in the videos, and then I can talk about the ones that I've captured that particular or printed that particular month. I'll then also as well do a gear update, like so if I bought any new gear or got rid of any gear, and then just for this month only I will just end on a bit of an update in terms of my channel as well, and in terms of how it's going and what the plan is for the next few years. So without further ado, let's just talk about how I felt this month in terms of photography. I really struggled to begin the year. I literally just sold the Canon R8 last month, so that's another camera disappointment that I've experienced in the last 12 months, along with the Sony A9, which I sold earlier last year as well. And then briefly as well, I'll get onto it in a minute, but I bought a Panasonic Lumix S1, but I literally had that camera for less than a week before it went back. So my disappointments in camera ownership continue, it seems, into 2025. The weather hasn't been that great, and I just haven't really felt inspired to go out and shoot a lot of photography this month. I was hoping the Panasonic S1 would have rekindled a little bit of that motivation, but it didn't really transpire into much photography. And just to provide a bit of context as well, because I'm filming this in the last week of each month, I will also look to include in the monthly update photos that I took in the last week of the preceding month. So in this case, I'll be talking about any images or any notable images that I captured between Christmas and New Year. So let's get that doom and gloom out the way in terms of my camera disappointments this year and get on to hopefully one of the best images I think that I've captured recently, one which I think is deservedly a portfolio type shot, and that's this one here. It's probably happened to you all. How many times have you driven past somewhere that you thought, oh yeah, that looks good, I must stop there one day to take a shot? And this garage I must have passed probably hundreds of times over the years, but I did actually make the extra effort to stop and try and capture the mood that this scene was conveying to me with my Ricoh GR3. And I think I succeeded. I just love the detail and the atmosphere that I was able to extract from this scene. And I think this will certainly be one of the first images that I'll print if I do get a printer, and then I'll show you that next month. So the second image, so this was taken out in the Quantox in Somerset on New Year's Eve, and it's not a portfolio shot, but I thought it was quite an interesting structure, this old building associated with some old oil works that were in the vicinity in this place called Clive, and thankfully a helpful person was walking through the scene as well to help add some scale to the image. And this image in particular was captured with my Canon 5D. So image 3 is probably the image that I've taken this month which is being closest to where I live. A very fleeting amount of this moody light early January, so I was able to capture that in a rush with the Fujifilm X-E1 and my 35mm f1.4 lens, and it's not entirely in focus, but there's just something about the scene that I particularly like. So moving on to this image here, which is not strictly an image I captured, but it was a lovely area where we were walking on this place called Lambert's Castle on the Devon-Dorset border. And the light was really nice and the trees were really nice, and my wife lined me up and took the shot, and it's a very rare environmental portrait of myself. So onto this image. Again, this is another image of my local town. I didn't really capitalize on the cold, crisp weather that we had at the start of the month, but when mist came rolling in, I made the opportunity to get out with the camera, and this image was one of the better images that I took. And I was kind of disappointed in that I didn't wait probably a fraction longer for the woman to walk past the drain pipe, because it looks like she's wearing a drain pipe for a hat. But other than that, I love this image, and it was captured with the Fujifilm X-E1, and again 35mm f1.4 because that's the only lens I have. So the next couple of images, and one of the probably the only images you'll see on my channel from the Panasonic Lumix S1, which I owned for less than a week. And one of the good things with the Lumix S1 is it did have an X-Pan crop mode built into the camera. So whereas all my X-Pan shots before I've cropped in Lightroom, this one, it shows you the crop in camera. So it does help a lot with framing your composition. So I like this particular scene. I don't, even though I like the person in it, it doesn't really add to the story, but I just like the scene, and I've captured this scene in my hometown various times, and I'm yet to get the perfect shot. And then this other image I put up from the Lumix S1 as well, which I particularly like, because don't get me wrong, I think the Lumix S1 is a great camera if you're just interested in just using it for standard autofocus static landscape type shots. I wanted it to do a little bit more than that, and that's where I felt that it let me down, and I couldn't see the point in keeping it, hence why I returned it. Right, so the last image that I've captured this month that I've been particularly pleased with is this one here, which is a place in Wiltshire called Dinton. It's a National Trust landscape, and this actually was captured with my Canon 5D despite the X-Pan crop, which I did in post. And I just love this house, and it's probably not one of my best images that I've captured of this landscape and the house, but I think with the people walking in front of it does add a bit more of a storytelling element to this particular composition. The sky was absolutely drab when I took this yesterday, so that's another reason why I like the X-Pan crop, because you can, in most cases, take out the sky and just focus on the elements in the image that you want to capture. Yeah, so I think that's all the images I feel that I want to capture. Like I said, I'll then, if I had it, I would talk about any images that I've printed that I'm particularly happy with this month, and that kind of leads me on to my gear update for this month, in that, just as a recap, yeah, I'm looking to get a printer just to print some more of my work. Right, in terms of gear update, like my film photography enthusiasm at the moment is at an all-time low since I started shooting film back in 2019. I think I recently looked through all my film images, and of the 1,000 or so that I've taken, I probably like less than about 10% of them. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the process of shooting film and developing film. I just don't really like the results that I get. And I think what hasn't helped is I bought the Ricoh GR, now the GR3. I've got the Fuji X-E1, which has got like physical dials, and then I've also got the Canon 5D. And I find those three cameras really give some characterful filmic quality to my images, which almost negates the need for me to then shoot film, because the results from these cameras are really quick and easy to produce. And saying that though, like the Canon 5D and the Fuji X-E1 do slow me down, you know, and that's a good thing about film photography, and that it does slow you down as a photographer rather than just shooting away. So that's probably again another reason why I haven't really felt much motivation to go out and shoot film recently. My wife ironically bought me a pinhole camera to make, and yeah, I just haven't got any enthusiasm to do that just yet. Maybe as the year progresses, I'll be able to get back into it a little bit more. I did briefly consider maybe doubling down and getting a Pentax 6.7 medium format film camera and some of the lenses, but I'd probably end up spending over £1,000 on that setup for something that I'm going to be using once or twice a year. So I've knocked that idea on the head for now, and I'll just stick with what I've got. I think the reason I wanted the medium format film camera was to get that medium format look, and I think if I can settle on a full frame camera and then get like a fast Voigtlander 1.2 lens, then maybe that will give me enough of that pseudo medium format look to put a medium format film and digital camera idea to bed. I'm more likely to use that full frame camera for all my photography needs rather than just getting like a medium format film camera or a digital camera and only using it a handful of times. So I feel like for what I'm willing to spend on my hobby, a full frame camera and some faster lenses for that camera is probably the more sensible option. I think my newest camera at the moment is the Ricoh GR3, which is 2019. And whilst I do like using this camera, even more now I bought this amazing case for it, it's not something I would take and use as a main camera. It's great to just put in the pocket when I don't want to lug around big cameras and like going to family events, etc. It's nice and simple, and it gives me some really good results, but it's not something that I would call my main system. And then the other 3 digital cameras that I've got, well, I say 4 digital cameras. I've obviously got the Panasonic GX1, which is my infrared Micro Four Thirds camera, and then I've got the EM1, which I think is about 12 years old now. Then the XE1, similar age, about 12 years. And then, of course, the Canon 5D, which is getting on for nearly 20 years old now, I believe. So I feel that I do still need a more modern digital camera to capture, like, my dog running towards me, for example. And I did briefly consider trying another Fujifilm camera. Like, I've tried the Fuji X-H1 in the past, and I just didn't get on with it for various reasons. Go and check out the video of that. So I did think about getting an X-T3 or an X-T4, but I just think deep down, as much as it'll be nice to try a more modern Fujifilm camera, I don't think the autofocus is going to be where I would want it to be for like capturing my dog running towards me. And I discounted the option of going back to Olympus at the moment. I feel like I need better low light, high ISO performance, especially when I'm shooting my dog running towards me in less than stellar conditions. So that puts me back on the idea of full frame. Yeah, the only one system I haven't tried yet is Nikon, and I must admit their 3D tracking ability does appeal, in that I could potentially just put the 3D tracking box on my dog and then it would hopefully do a better job. And the one good thing with Nikon as well, I found from my limited research so far, is that they got much more better selection of lenses and affordable lenses. That was the problem with the Canon R8 I had. I liked the system generally, and I would have loved to have invested more in native lenses, but to get good ones, they were extremely expensive because it's a very closed mount system. So that's why I'm back at Nikon's door at the moment, but I need to do some more research, and hopefully next month you'll see whether I've been able to progress with that idea. So I've been running this channel for a couple of years now, and I've certainly noticed of late viewing figures are way are weighed down. It's only a hobby for me, so it's not so much of an issue, but it is a little bit frustrating still. I find that videos where I talk about gear probably do better than videos where, like I'm doing now, and when I actually do get motivated and go out on the landscape and shoot as well. I don't tend to find those videos do particularly well on my channel. It's more when I'm talking about gear and my experiences of using that gear from a hobbyist perspective. And don't get me wrong, I do like talking about gear, but I feel like I've obsessed too much over the last few months about gear, and I just want to get a camera now and just use it for what I enjoy most, i.e. photography. So hopefully, even though there will be gear videos on my channel, I'm hoping there'll be more of a balance this year in terms of getting out into the landscape and shooting photography, as well as talking about the gear I use to progress my photography. Because I know people say gear doesn't matter, but that's not my experience. In that yes, you could probably get away with virtually any camera, but if you've got specific needs like capturing a dog running towards you more easily, don't get me wrong, I got good results from my other cameras. I just want a camera to do that a little bit more easily, so I can concentrate on composition rather than trying to just concentrate on getting her in focus. That was the original aim, but that's still my aim. But obviously I don't want to spend too much money because this is only a hobby for me. So as you could probably tell, I'm trying a new office backdrop this year just to try and make my videos a little bit more interesting. I'm not sure I've got the lighting just right yet. I need to work on that a little bit more, but hopefully it's a bit more interesting than me just sat at my computer. So I think that's all I have for this video. Obviously future videos, there'll be a lot more tighter and pared back, and I'll just concentrate on basically how I felt that month, what photos I've taken, and a bit of gear update, but nothing as much as what I'm talking about with this video, which has been more of a January, what photos I captured in January, as well as a general channel and gear update. So as well as these monthly videos, I'm also going to try and push out another video in the middle of each month as well, moving forward. So as always, thanks for watching. Bye for now.